One thing I keep coming back to is not feeling the greatest, but we will talk about this. I was thinking, it's been a couple days since we've made a, what is it called? Video? And, well, as I was thinking about it, or however you want to say that, sometimes there's like a, I think maybe I burp when I'm nervous. I don't know. I don't burp this much naturally. What I was thinking about. Back on track. Whenever I'm working, typing, or plotting, or taking notes, or whatever, when I'm doing anything for the book, there's a thought that will kind of come to my mind every once in a while. And that thought is, why am I doing this? Sometimes I'm like, am I doing this because I'm continuing to do this? You know what I mean? Like, am I doing this because I've been doing this? You know, like, truly think about what it is that makes you do what you do. Am I doing what I'm doing because I'm just doing it? Because I have been doing it and I don't see the purpose of stopping? Like, why do you keep going to your job? Well, because it's my job. And my job. And at my job, I do my job. Right? Now that's built around obvious things like, you know, making money and shit. But take that out of the equation. A lot of the times, we can't really say why we're doing what we're doing. I mean, I've asked people that. That's like my one question I like to ask somebody. When I meet someone new, and I hear a little bit about their story, you know, whatever they want to divulge in that moment, when they do. That's like one of the first few questions I ask them. Is like, why do you do what you do? And I'm honestly shocked with how much I hear I don't know. So, not to say that, you know, I'm better than anyone else, because I can agree there are a lot of things that I'm doing that I don't know why I'm doing too. Why have I been purchasing the things I've been purchasing? Why am I obsessed with buying an old truck? You know, why am I, the biggest one, working on this book? Why the hell am I doing all this? I don't know. On the surface, I don't know. But then I start to think a little more deeply about it. Okay, so why is it exactly? We'll take out of the equation, I'm working on the book because I've been working on the book, right? What keeps me coming back? There's a few things that just jumped in my mind now. One, there's a little bit of excitement for what can happen next. Two, it's kind of like I'm doing it with two other people. So, what new information can I bring to them? What can I glean that they'll be like, wow, holy shit, I didn't know that that was a thing, or, you know, be impressive in some way, shape, or form. But other than that, what draws me into this? Because once you, like, you know, once I get into the book, what keeps me there is the levels that from which I write. So whether it's like talking about philosophy or mythology, whether it's talking about morality, or any of the human kind of conditioned things, or whatever, like societal things or politics, whatever it is on that level of the scene or of the part that I'm making, that is always in existence. That's always a thing happening. Now, what makes it difficult is, you know, separating myself away from that, you know, before I walk into it, what is it that I want to achieve? What is it that I want to do or to say or whatever, to feel? I don't know. That's a really hard question, and for me, I don't really walk into this office and get ready to sit down and do work or whatever until I feel the thing that I've talked about before, that divinity, that sort of otherworldly kind of power that dictates this. That's generally, I don't do anything unless I feel that. And it's like, is that a mistake or is that a good thing? I don't know. Like, I'm not really sure if that's the right thing to do. It's just what I have been doing, and I've explained as to why I'm doing it. It feels like there is no other way. But I'm kind of thinking, am I doing this just because it's a habit? I think I've talked about it before, where it's like the origins of the book were built upon escapism. The origins were created, oh gosh. Ah, man. Is that my foot? Yeah, so I can't do that. All right. The origins of the book were created because of me wanting to make a place to escape to. Now, that in itself isn't exactly, or wasn't exactly the goal of its creation, but it's one of the results, looking back. It was an escapism trip. So saying that I was seeking to escape meant that there was a time of my life to which I needed to escape from something. And when I look back at the origin, like when the book started, this was before I had been in a relationship. This was before I had, like even got my license. This is before a lot of things that I had done. It was like my adolescence. It was right on the edge of my adolescence. And my adolescence lasted till I was in my 20s. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't do those things that you were supposed to do as a teenager. I didn't go and have a relationship or get a license when I was young and all that. Like, I didn't do those things. I got my license at age 24, I think. Yeah, because I remember my insurance was, like, within months it went down because I was a less dangerous driver. And relationships. I had my first relationship at like 21 or 22, I don't remember. My adolescence was very long. And the beginning of this book was the beginning of it transitioning into my adult life. Me stepping out into the world, because what was going on around the beginning of the book was I was in a band. I barely knew how to play the instrument that I had, the bass. I barely knew anything about it. I remember weeks before I told Billy that I was gonna, oh yeah, I play bass. Like, I had only played bass like a handful of times. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't really, like, I didn't know. I just remember sitting down and practicing strumming, because I remember that was hard. It's like strumming. It was so difficult. So I would just sit and do that, but I wouldn't make much music with it. I'd just get that going and then practice these fingers. But it wasn't like making songs or nothing. Very inexperienced, walking from a life where I had no purpose. As a child, I had no purpose. I had no interests that I'm still doing to this day. In a sense, like, I was never like, oh, I was really into cars because my dad, blah blah blah, or I was, I liked reading all the time, blah blah blah. You know, which I think the things I do now. I loved, I don't even know. Because making things or constructing things, I didn't do that stuff as a kid. I played cars outside. I couldn't give a flying fuck what engine was in it or what brand. I didn't even know any of that shit. I just played cars. I'd play War, as we called it, which we were not very creative when it comes to naming things, clearly. And then we'd play Super Nintendo and we'd go in. Like Super Mario or like whatever the fuck other games we had. Porky Pig game, Mickey Mouse, some other ones I don't remember. That's really it. There was nothing more to my life, and I did that very thing. I stopped playing cars and War up when I was, probably the last time we did it, I was like in high school, and then stopped playing video games like that with friends right when I was about in my early 20s. So like for me, you know, I really lived the adolescent life, and this book, I wouldn't say accidentally, but in some ways it captures my ascension into adulthood. And the entirety of the book has been done in my entire adult life. You know, I'm 31. The book was started 10, 11 years ago, whatever the fuck it was. 2012, so that's what, 10? 11, because it's 2023 now. That's how long, like that's my entire 20s. Like, where would I be? I remember Kevin saying that. I don't remember if it was in the interview or not. Like, where, you know, where would I be right now if I didn't do what I was doing? And for me, it's like, if I didn't have this book, where would I be? I'd be like working my way to finding, you know, getting an office job or some shit, making more money, focusing on my career, pretending to be happy in that. And in some ways, this book is very painful and difficult to do, but I think, you know, when I think about it, it's making me realize who I really am. It's a search for myself through this book. And it's crazy. So when I go into the book, you know, I don't know what I'm doing, but at the same time, it's like, this book, this world, is like me finding myself. Me choosing my own path. Me looking at aspects of myself and exploring it through mythology. And mythologizing along the way aspects of my nature, you know, or things I've seen or felt or touched or whatever, like something that I tangibly, you know, it went through my mind. I'm rediscovering it, I'm looking for it, I'm honing in on it, I'm doing whatever it takes. And that's what the book is to me. It's like, it's a self-exploration. And for me, along the way, I've invited my friends. I would like to invite them all, but some are more leery about it. Some are more, some people are intimidated by it for some reason, which I could understand, I guess. It's not really much going on. It's not like heavy, deep, or really. I don't think, at least. But I remember I floated the idea to Billy, but I was like, you know what, maybe, I don't remember like the reaction to it. I think he was a little bit like, I don't know if I should, kind of thing. And I was like, well, I know that you should, but I would understand if you didn't. You know, it's totally okay. Like, we all have our own life, and for me, inviting it is like, it's a very personal thing, inviting someone to this book. You know, it's just like a band. I treat it the same way. The guys involved, like, it was a very meaningful, deep thing to invite someone into this. And if someone doesn't feel like involving themselves in whatever way, shape, or form, for whatever reason, I'm not gonna get mad about that. It's my way of expressing some sort of compassion, I guess. You know, and again, not actively. Like, I'm not actively thinking of that shit when I'm like, hey, do you want to do this together? You know, it's more of, I can say those things in retrospect, or, you know, in hindsight, or whatever, you know, or looking at the way, you know, studying what you do. When you study what you do, you realize who you are, you know, and you are what you do. You know, the way you look at the world is who you are. The way you allow the world to enter your mind is who you are. The world's not out to get you, you're out to destroy yourself, right? And then in that self-reflection is where I kind of really, that's where the book is made. And sometimes when life's not hard, I don't write the book. You know, when I'm having a good time or when I'm happy, I don't write. I do when I'm down. Because there's something about that sadness. I'll just end that part now because it's getting there. There's something about that sadness. The exploration of sadness and, you know, what truly is sadness if not feeling and being hurt by, being fearful of, you know, some sort of effect that you are actively going against just what it is that you're seeing, feeling, or perceiving. It's giving you a negative connotation of whatever you might have believed before. And that's all that really is, right? So it's like, you know, if someone hurts your feelings, they've either echoed something that's true or they echoed something that hurts you in a way or because it's a lie. Or you know you hurt them, you know what I mean? And they're striking back, or the multitude of other reasons. That sadness is where creation comes from, because that just means it's self-discovery. You know, true good creation has to be self-discovery. It has to be. There's no other reasoning behind that, at least right now in my mind, now that I'm talking about it. I mean, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I'm just rolling with it. But to me, that makes sense, is like where escapism lies on the spectrum of that. So if there's like, you know, happy and sad, you know, love and fear, or whatever, like however you want to branch it, it's got to be this spectrum that's between it, to which lies this kind of sensation of creation or inhalation or something, like taking things in. You know, being invested in a world like Star Wars that you didn't make, but you love being in it for whatever reason, shape, or form. Or Lord of the Rings, or World of Warcraft, or fucking whatever the fuck else is out there. I think escapism really works on a spectrum like that. Where you can create or you can be a part of. Or you can, you know, not be, I wouldn't even say really, you're kind of a part of it, but you're not actively a part of it. Like, you're not creating things within it. You're a part of it because you seek to go to this place when you're afraid, hurt, scared, or alone. Or even just trying to find some happiness. You know, you're trying to synthetically take happiness away by something that doesn't really exist. I think that must be what creation is about when it comes to art. Not a lot of, I mean, what's the fucking trope about artists? They're always like depressed or sad or miserable, chain-smoking alcoholics or whatever. Because they're seeking for that high. You know, some people have a hard time being even. They have to have the highest of high, the lowest of low, and I happen to be one of those. I'm not happy when I'm in the middle. I don't feel happy. I feel extremely just overwhelmed by nothingness, you know, or just complacency, or just calmness. That shit just bothers me and it depresses me. Like, I don't like it when it's normal. I like to have extremely fucked up, crazy shit here, or super sad loneliness down here, and it's just one or the other. I mean, it kind of, the waves will kind of bend a bit, you know what I mean, where it's not hard lined on them, but, you know, there's a bit of give, I should say. But the fact that creation is this place that was born out of escapism. And so if I can't really experience the highest of highs and lowest of lows whenever I can, well, the book sure can fucking help with that, amongst all the other things I said that it helps with. I mean, I think I've said it, I don't know how many times. It's like, it's a fucked up place to be in the book. I mean, it comes across as like, you know, outwardly like, that's cool, you know, or like, huh, it's kind of like Lord of the Rings or whatever, Wheel of Time, you know, whatever a fantasy person would say, but shit. I missed it. Damn it! Anyway, there was a thing I missed. I was going to go to it, and it was a few days ago. Shit. Little writing group. Next month, I guess. But for me, oh, what the fuck was I saying before that? I don't even remember now. Ah, that sucks. I missed that group. Shit. I knew I was going to do it. I should have put it in my phone. Damn it. What was I going to say? It's, what the fuck was I even talking about? Oh, something about escapism in the book, and the highest of high and the lowest of low, and this is a place where I can kind of artificially create... Okay, so the world's a depressing place. That's what it was. It's a place that's kind of, again, like I said, outwardly great, but internally, when I go in it and I'm making it, it's not great. It's not like escapism where it feels happy. It feels fun. It feels like... Essentially, for me, what I must be doing is only looking at the worst parts of humanity and everything else and just putting it in the book. I can't think of the last time I made a good story, a happy one. I can't think of the last time that I took something I liked about culture and was like, this is cool. I'm glad that they do that. I'm going to make a culture do that. It's never like that. It's always the worst shit about people that I'm like, you know what? And I will do that too. That's what they'll do to their dead. You know, or like, that's fucking a horrible story. I'm going to make it one of the main characters' stories. You know, like it's crazy to think about, but a lot of the story is super fucking sad. Super depressing, and there's no hope. The more you read it, the more you invest in it, the more you realize there's just no hope. I think I've talked about it so many times where I'm like, wouldn't it be great if it just ended like horribly and no one lives and everything dies and they all fail? I've actually entertained that idea. Just you get to watch misery happen, where it starts and then they finally kill themselves because they're done with it. They're like, I'm totally down to write that fucking story. The only thing that stopped me was other people saying you probably shouldn't. But I still think about it. I still think like, you know, fuck it, dude. Like, this is a shitty place. It looks beautiful. It looks cool, but it's not great. It's not a good place. That's the hardest outlook that I keep bringing to the book. Where it feels like I'm capturing all the misery, woe, and sadness in the world and just kind of putting it into it. Like I'm taking all this horrible shit that man does and just throwing it into the book. And just making the book this horrible fucking place. Thinking maybe I could finally trap it, you know, like keep it under the fucking whatever the hell, I don't know. The lid. I must be doing that. I mean, as for the reasoning behind it, I don't know. Something I'd never really thought about. For me, I guess, in my mind, I always said, I'm not going to be afraid to explore the darkness. I will not be afraid to look at things and be honest about it. I wasn't going to allow, you know, I guess I didn't give a shit, you know, how someone perceive it. It's just, I want to explore the darkest sides of who we are. mean, there are scenes where one of the characters might be witnessing a woman being defiled, or a character might be witnessing death on a very traumatic level, seeing someone die very traumatically. That's like a child. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of crazy, but there are scenes where things are pretty dark like that. And that's not, I mean, yes, I'm actively saying I'm okay with exploring the darkness, but in that moment, I'm not seeking it. It just kind of happens. Oh, great, I have to write this fucking scene. You know, I'm not wanting to, because man, it's hard to write, you know, or a scene where, like, even things that aren't really considered wicked. In the beginning, there's scenes where the main character is lustfully looking at an older woman. I have a hard time writing it. I did, and I don't even like to read it. I just skip it, because I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. And I wrote the fucking thing, you know what I mean? But that's probably because of, in my life, feeling shame for something natural like that. I've been kind of shamed into that role of, like, you're not allowed to think about and do, and you're bad if you do. Like, that's probably because of life things, but it's definitely, you know, other aspects of the book carry that as well, with things that are a lot darker. And do I want to write about, you know, rape and murder and shit? Not really. I don't know why I do, but it just kind of happens, you know, unconsciously, and I'm just kind of cycling it out, and I'm just putting it in there. I'm like, well, I guess that's happening, and how the fuck is he gonna, like, mentally, like, I just think about Eris sometimes, and I'm like, that kid, let's be honest, he's fucking like 17, he's fucked. Like, the shit he's seen, the stuff he's experienced, he's screwed. In such a short amount of time, in less than a year. Because the first book, I still don't know the timeline of it. I'm going to say it's at least a few fucking months. He has gone from seeing everything he knows destroyed, his family being killed in front of him, to, you know, the traumatic events of people en masse being killed, and the world seeming to just fall apart around him, and being chased and being kidnapped, and just witnessing so much dark shit and fucked up things, like I said before. So it's like, and it's happening so fast that I remember actively thinking, like, man, book 2 is like when you imagine coming back from that and processing, because, like, I think that's obviously where a lot of what's that stuff called? PTSD. That must be where it's from, because you're processing all this shit. Because that shit was happening so rapid, quick, and just, it's flying. You know what I mean? You don't have time to sit and dwell on it. You just move to the next, the next, the next, the next, and then eventually, when you sit down, you have some quiet time. That's longer than like a few weeks. You know what I mean? We're not talking like R&R or anything, you know, where you can just drink it away or whatever, or just kind of do other things to get it off your mind. We're talking like you have months to dwell on this shit. That's gonna fuck you up, because you gotta process that now, and that processing is just like a computer, man. Like, it's like an old computer. It's just gotta, like, go through all that information, and while that's happening, you can't function properly. You know, you can't do a whole lot of things because it's overwhelming. Like, our minds work so similar to computers, it's crazy. During that processing speed, the computer doesn't act as, you know, fast. Things aren't happening. Screens aren't loading as quickly. You have too many programs up. Whatever the fuck it is. It's the same thing with life. And for me, I imagine that's Eris. That's what he's going through as we speak in book 2. You know, that's going to really traumatize him. That's going to shape him in a way that he'll never be the same again. It's crazy, I guess, to me, just to think about that. Yeah, I don't know. But I think that this video was just a short one about, like, whatever the fuck it was about. What's the book about? Why do I write it? Kind of thing. It doesn't seem very happy, but I mean, that's the whole point of it, really. It's a place where I can take the bad things and lock it away, I guess. Maybe it's not, but with this discussion, maybe it is. You know, the bad parts of life that I've seen, experienced, or heard of, or any sort of passive or active experience that I lock away here. And at the same time, it's the growth of my adulthood. It's the experience of my life through story. It's the kind of unlocking of what the mind really is, and why it really is, you know, what exactly it is, for me at least. It's a very personal experience, and that's probably the major reason why it's so hard to, like, want to go back and edit the book, because I'm just dreading the idea of someone else wanting to read it, kind of thing, or judging it, you know. It's like with any kind of art, right? When you show someone a song that you made, or a painting that you drew, or painted, or whatever, or some shit, whatever form of art it happens to be, there's going to be that leeriness of, like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want people to ingest this in any way, shape, or form. And breathe it in, or whatever the fuck. That's kind of, for me, what this book's kind of become. I'm, like, still in shock that I even finished book 1. I'm in shock. And it's been over a year since I finished book 1. I don't even know how to feel about that. That's still, for me, like, I cannot even process that. Because I've been working on it for so fucking long. I'm just like, fuck, I have to start planning out book 2 soon. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of have it in my mind, but it's like, it's just like foggy ideas. It's nothing concrete. It's nothing like, I have a general story. It's bullet point. It's just, it's a very zoomed out look at it. And that's where I'm at now. I don't even know how to edit. I don't even know what to do. Like, okay, I don't know. There's this part where I know I gotta change things, because it's like, oh, that's gonna be a bitch. Oh, man. Oh, shit. That's that, I guess. This is a short one, I think. Sexually short. Yeah, I guess this is about, like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to re-listen, because I don't remember. I don't remember what I talked about. I'll be honest. I don't even know what happened. Something happened. Anyway, your cousin's calling, so I gotta answer it.